Good morning, Kev. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Microsoft Flight Simulator live stream. I'm your host, pilot, lead singer, driver of the airplane. Today, Uncle B, that's me. Today, as always. Today we are in the A320. For those of you who used to watch me fly, this was the preferred jetliner for quite some time until I got to grips with the 737 series. If you are a no frills flyer, Kev, no, not the lead singer, yep. This is the jetliner for you. It doesn't take a lot to set up. You don't have to have a SimBrief account to fly this. You don't have to worry about calculations or anything like that. It is pretty much very simple to put a flight plan together and fly this thing. Now, my good friend Mick asked me about things like when do you start slowing down, when do you start descending, all that kind of stuff. Now, if you've watched me in the 737, you know a lot of information is already included in the flight plan, and I don't have to necessarily always ask to start reducing my altitude. The quote-unquote ATC will tell me to go ahead and start descending to an altitude. Okay. So we're going to put this flight plan together real quick, and then we're going to talk about when are we going to start descending. It helps if you have a piece of paper. If you're going to fly along, if you want to take notes, you're more than welcome to. If you just want to kind of go through things step by step, and then we can proceed. We're not in a rush. The flight itself is not going to take very long to do. So if you want to join along, you're more than welcome to. You don't have to have any certain livery or whatever. It just so happened that I had all these A320 liveries from Four Simmers, so we're flying as Aeroflot today. That is the livery that I have for the Airbus A320neo. But you can fly the ones that came with the sim when it first was released. It's fine. It doesn't change anything other than the look of the plane on the outside. So the flight decks are all the same. Nothing's different. Okay. But I'll give us a few minutes and then we'll get in here, or we'll build the flight plan here in just a few minutes. So if you want to fly along, you got time to load up the sim, or if not, that's perfectly fine. No troubles. So, the initial route for today, that's our departure and arrival, the departure runway and the arrival runway. Okay. So there's that. If you want to fly direct, you don't want to. Okay, that's fine, Kev. No worries. Do your thing. We got time. So, what we can do, well, I'll wait till Kev gets back. If he's going to follow along. I don't know if he is or not. He hasn't indicated, but might be pretty quiet in the chat today. Not sure. If so, that's all right. But I'll show you. I do have the sim brief uh, route that I was going to fly this in the 737 800. So I'm going to show you kind of the difference. But thankfully, our standard instrument departure, our SID, and our STAR, the standard terminal arrival route, are the same in SimBrief and the Sim for this plane. It's just that the route to get from the SID to the STAR is slightly different. And I'll show you here in a minute once we get everything put together. If Kev will let me know when he's back. Somebody else is lurking. Hello, lurker. Identify yourself. Say hello. Don't be shy. Don't. Everybody's welcome here. Kev, are you back yet? Or did you go for a 10-100 and a stop off at the coffee maker to get some more coffee? Kev loves his coffee. Well, we're going to go ahead and get going here. So our first airport, see, I thought I clicked in there. UEE. That's our departure airport. I am going to pick this gate right here for departure. It's given us 24 left. That's the one we want. Although yesterday when I tried it, it tried telling me to go 24 center, which is right here, but I was able to get it to 24 left. Now our arrival, Minsk to uniform Mike Sierra. Now I think there's supposed to be 2 runways here on the chart. If we look at our airport, the taxi, there's 2 runways, but we only have one in the sim, this one here. I think they built a second one, they just never got added into the sim. Okay, so there we go. So we're coming in a 1-3 right. Alright, so it says about 49 minutes. That's direct. If we just took off and flew directly to Minsk, didn't have any kind of a route information or anything like that, right? So if I go to this drop-down menu and I go to IFR low altitude, still about 47 minutes. But that's a direct departure, direct arrival. So what we're looking for is, I'm going to pull this up here real quick, the LIDR, Litter 3 Hotel, is our preferred departure route, our standard instrument departure. There we go, right there. And then our arrival, we want the Ruha 2 Charlie. Right there, for 1-3 right. Bingo. And our approach is going to be the ILS 1-3 right. Easy peasy. Not a lot of frills to it. This is the most standard, basic way to to get from our departure to our destination. Okay, very simple. It helps I'm not going to lie, it helps to have a Navigraph account because you can validate certain information. So if we zoom in here, right, this is the beginning of our star, Ruhal. It may, now if we look at here, this is where, so this is, it follows pretty much. Now the names may be different in the sim versus what we see here. But if we look at the overall flight plan, where our, see, there's the, this is where it kind of deviates. It drops down. Instead of going here all the way directly, it drops down then goes here. But if you notice in here, there's not a significant drop down. There's a slight one, but it doesn't drop down until much later in the flight to get lined up on the arrival. But that's okay. We can use this information here and this part right here, okay, to help us get as you know, to make this flight work. Okay, now for the descent point, you'll have, so there's KUDRE, and then there's cruise, descent, and then MOSON, right? So we have this distance between here and here, but if we look at when are we going to start our descent, it says it's about 13 nautical miles. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say roughly when we are 15-ish nautical miles from Mosun, that's when we're going to start descending, okay? In the 737, when you use the sim brief, it will show a point in the flight plan. It'll say T/D. That's for top of descent. It will tell you so that if you don't hear from ATC by that point saying go ahead and start dropping altitude, this you have some kind of an idea. So we want to descend 15 nautical miles from Wilson. Okay? That's the plan. So we got that covered, right? So always, you can open your nav log and look where it'll say descent, but it's not going to give you that in the flight plan itself. I looked the other day. I created the flight plan, looked at the information. There is no, like, initially there'll be one that'll say top of climb T/C, and then there'll be one that'll say T/D for top of descent. Okay, so we don't have that information, but we can look in here in the nav log, and it'll say roughly this is when, and you can look at the distance between the descent and Mosun is about 13 nautical miles. We're just running it up to about 15. So when we're 15 away from that, that's when we're going to call in and say we're going to start our descent. Okay. Now, as far as descents go, what I usually did was, so we're looking at dropping an initial 3,000 feet. Okay. And then you go from there. Now, when we get to, if we look at if we leave this up right here, right? If we look at this is the chart. I'm going to wait for it to catch up on the screen here. It should show. I hope. There it is. Okay. So by here at Pomzo, right? We have to be at 12,000 feet. Here it's saying 16,000 is the preferred altitude. We're going to ignore that. We're going to go for what we know here. Now, you can follow this. You can say, okay, I'll be at here at 16, and then I can keep descending. You could follow that plan. I mean, it's not like it's only 4,000 feet's difference, right? So it's not like a deal breaker if you're not at what the chart recommends you to be at. Okay. So actually, we're going to follow what this says. Okay. So we want to that's going to play. Okay. Let me also add this because I'm just trying to like remember things. So from here, we can by Pomzo we can still be at 250 knots. The rule, I think that what they kind of showed in the tutorial for the A320 was if you're above 10,000 feet, you can be at 250 knots. Anything below 10,000 or below, you got to be at 210. So we're going to keep 250 knots, but by the time we get here, we're going to have to slow to at least 210 knots. Okay, so that's not a large distance, I don't think. But we can start, but that's when we're going to start our initial slowdown, our deceleration to a manageable speed so that we're not going in too fast and then we have to suddenly slow down. So part of it is so if you go 10,000 feet or below, slow down to at least 210. But you can go if by the chart it says you can max speed is 220 knots, but there's no reason to be going. You can, in theory, if this was a real world flight, they might say speed up to or maintain this kind of speed to try to move the traffic along. Hello, JP. Thanks for the chat. Welcome. So, but we're going to be 210 by the time we reach here, okay? Because we're going to be at 5, it says 5,000 feet by the time we get to 223. But it's saying 10,000 here. See, this is the part of this plane doing it this way that the stuff is not necessarily correct. It's very like it's not setting you up for success. But we're gonna set ourselves up for success. We're gonna kind of ignore certain things and set ourselves up, because if we rely on what the plane tells us and what ATC tells us, it's not going to work. Hello, Infidel. How are you? So we're going to ignore certain things. We know by our chart, and again, this is the hard part because a lot of people don't want to pay for a SimBrief account or a Navigraph account. It helps because it gives you a better idea of what to expect for your flight. Even if you're not using SimBrief, you can use the information. The hard part is there's not, you can't go to, there was another place, it only has charts for American airports. It doesn't have charts for airports in Europe or anywhere else. It's only in America. So you don't get this kind of information. So I have this so that I know where I need to be, because the sim doesn't give you the correct information when it should. Okay, that's the difficult part. All right. I think the A320 V2 can use SimBrief, because I think AnyBuilds built that for Microsoft. So all this information would be probably correct in that flight plan. Okay. So, but we know when we're going to start descending. The speeds, anything below 10,000 feet, you need to be at 210 knots minimum, or honestly maximum. And then we will start to slow down. So if we're at 210 knots when we reach this point, I'm going to, by the time we reach here, I'm going to be at 180 knots. Between here and here, 160. And then as soon as we make the turn, probably about here, I'm going to go to 140. 140-ish is the rough. Actually, I can get a little bit closer. I can get to this part right here, and I could go to 140, and that's our final. That's our final speed. Okay. Some people go a little bit faster, a little bit slower. You can tweak it to how you prefer to fly. But I think I generally came in at 140 knots in the A320 for landing. Okay, we need to be at 3,000 feet by the time we line up for final. Okay, and that's based on the chart. If we go to the approach 13 right ILS, it says by the time we cross here, Sengi, right? We could be at 3,000 feet by the time we get here. So we can cruise at 5. We can get to about 4 when we turn here, and then 3 on final. Okay, because it's not very difficult to drop 1,000 feet, here and there. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Any comments, concerns about what we're getting ready to do? Okay. All right. Let's go. Let's go ahead and get in here and get the plane started up. It's fairly straightforward. It's not as in depth as the 737. The only thing that I noticed is if you're going to do a gate startup, if you use the automated checklist, the fuel pumps do not turn themselves on using the automated checklist, so we have to do that before we do anything else. All right, let's go ahead and spawn in here. I'm going to do one other thing before I forget, because we want to be able to talk to ATC when we're ready to talk to them. Okay. Is that still up? No. Why is it still showing that? Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and look up here, get our fuel pumps on. All right, let's use the automated checklist to at least get the APU started up. Now, there's only one thing that we have to do in the FMC, and that is we come. Oh, let's get a. Where's our light things? Oh, there it is. Okay. Now we can brighten this up. I like to brighten it up so it's a little bit easier to read. Okay. So if we go to the perf page, right, all we have to do is put in our initial flaps, 10, bingo, and we click on our speeds just to make sure that they're correct. That's all we got to do. Okay. And then we can go to here. So there's our flight plan. Now the weird thing is, you have to use the up button to scroll through. So if we look at, remember, there's our point between here and here. That's going to give us our descent point. So, and then you just hit flight plan, bang, you're right. Okay, there we go. So we got all that. Okay. All right. And let's see, I think that's it. So let's talk to, oh, we got to get our flight director on. That little button right there. Okay. So we're pretty much, oh, you know, oh, that's pretty much one. Okay. Let's talk to,
Sheremetyevo clearance delivery Aeroflot 237 IFR to Minsk 2 ready to copy.
yeah, I know.
Aeroflot 237 is cleared to Minsk 2 airport as filed. Takeoff runway 24 left climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure frequency is 119.5 squawk 0072.
Aeroflot 237 cleared to Minsk 2 airport is filed. Takeoff runway 24 left climb and maintain 6,000 feet. Departure on 119.5 squawk 0072.
So our 0072, there it is, right there.
Contact ground on 121.8. Good day.
All right, we're going to go ahead and request taxi.
Sheremetyevo ground Aeroflot 237 with whiskey ready to taxi IFR.
Aeroflot 237 taxi to and hold short of runway 24 left using taxiway Sierra 10 Alpha Alpha Niner. Contact tower on 118.7 when ready.
Taxi to and hold short runway 24 left via taxiway Sierra 10 Alpha Alpha Niner Aeroflot 237.
All right, let's get number 2 started. You have 2 engines. Oh, so do I. I have 2. Okay. Let's go ahead and request pushback.
Sheremetyevo ground Aeroflot 237 requesting pushback.
Aeroflot 237 pushback request accepted.
Brakes off. All right, let's go ahead and get number 1 going.
Sheremetyevo ground aeroflow 237 requesting pushback tug to steer the aircraft to the left.
Airflow 237, your request has been transmitted to the operator.
Sheremetyevo ground aeroflow 237 requesting the end of pushback.
Airflow 237 request to end pushback received.
Alright, heater all started. Okay, let's go taxi. You guys ready to go? Did you file a flight plan there, Kev, or are you just gonna go wing it as best as you can? Alright, so we're going to put into practice everything we talked about. Alright? Now, the great thing is about this, I'm all flight planned up, just hope the AP works. Okay, so I'll show you how to all that do. How to do all that. Have you got 10 degrees of flaps ready for takeoff? So quick review, do you have your flight director on? Do you have your initial altitude dialed in? 25%. Oh, that's too much. You only need 10. You don't need a whole lot of flaps. We got like a 15 knot headwind coming into our runway. So about 10 degrees of flaps is perfect. Okay. Go for 5,000. Alright. So the great thing is, it's going to tell us to go to our cruising altitude. Now, if you remember, in the 737, it's going to give me initial altitude, but eventually I'm going to say I want to go higher. It's not going to give me a higher altitude, so, which is fine. Going to 320. Okay. Fair enough. Is your flight director on? Is this little button right here lit up? Okay, gotcha. Just wanted to make sure. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. I mean, sit down and be quiet. one more pot of coffee before we take off. Well, you could put one. You could say there's one back here by the oxygen. How about that? I'm sure JP has one in his pocket somewhere. Good to see you, JP. Hope you're doing well. Welcome in, everybody. On our way to Belarus, Minsk number 2. That was the initial reason for doing this flight, was to get the Belarus flag for the collection.
Tower Aeroflow 237 at runway 24 left, ready for departure IFR to Minsk 2.
Aeroflow 237, altimeter 29er, 1 wind 258 at 7. Cleared for takeoff runway 24 left.
Cleared for takeoff runway 24 left, Aeroflow 237.
Flag on the backside. Alright, let's get back into the flight deck here so we're ready to go. Kev's on his way. Chase him down. All right, let's get in here. Coming up. So we're gonna this flight plan or this path is pretty much straight out. Alright, so now
contact Moscow Center on 119.5.
into the climb notch.
Going to 119.5 Aeroflow 237.
Gauge the autopilot.
Moscow
There we
Center
go.
Aeroflow 237 is passing 2,200 feet, climbing 6,000 feet.
Aeroflow 237 Moscow
drop the
Center,
flaps.
altimeter 29er,
Ta-da.
1 radar contact. Continue
That's
to
it.
use it.
Plane will handle itself. There we go. Easy peasy.
Aeroflow 237 climb and maintain
Yeah.
flight level 200.
Already going for 20,000.
Climb and maintain flight level 200 Aeroflow 237.
Alright, let's make sure everything's in the climb detent. The CL detent should be where we're at for the remainder of the flight. Nothing else. since we're going to go above 18,000 feet, we can go ahead and set this to standard. Not that we were too far off of 290902, but we'll just go ahead and dial that in now. We can also do another thing. We can go ahead and get our speed brakes armed. If you push on this till it says armed, you're good to go. Very simple. This is a no frills plane. There's not much to do in this. How you doing, Kev? Departure airport behind us. About 12,000 feet. What happened, Kev? Did you stall out? Nope, he's descending now. So, Kev, the trick on this is you gotta hit the engage manage altitude mode somehow. That's how you get to your next altitude. Or I think there's a way to do. Yeah, you can use this dial for vertical speed, but you have to use not sure how to use the vertical speed. Normally there's like a VS button for vertical speed. Kev is losing altitude.
Airflow 237 climb and maintain flight level tree 00. Keep speed not above 250 knots.
Climb and maintain flight level tree 00. Keep speed not above 250 knots. Aeroflow 237.
Kev is still losing altitude. And Kev is going to crash and burn. Nope, now he's flying. He's recovered. Hello, Mela, how are you? I'm all right, thank you. Just trying to keep an eye on Kev. He was climbing. He's struggling. Oh, there he goes. He's continuing to climb. Come on, Kev. Join us up here at 30,000 feet. You'll be fine. I had a chicken Caesar wrap last night for dinner, Mela. Nothing exciting, I can tell you that. It was from Walmart. I do like Taco Bell, but I'm trying to get away from. It's hard to get away from junk food in general. You know, take out the fast food stuff. But yeah, I do like Taco Bell, but it's the quality's gone down over the years, I think. It used to be at one point that Taco Bell was the supposed to be like the healthiest of all the fast foods, but I don't think that's the case anymore, to be honest. All right, let's have a look at where we're at. Okay. So we still.
Airflow 237 climb and maintain flight level tree 60.
Let's go to 360.
Climb and maintain flight level tree 60 aerofloat 237.
How you doing, Kev? He's still climbing. Remember, it makes it easier if you throttle back and you're in the CLD tense. That'll give you the correct thrust for climbing. Make sure you arm your speed brakes, and then we can also put on our auto brake. We'll put those to medium. Oh, yeah, see, I clicked it on and it goes off. I think you gotta click it twice in order for it to work. There we go, now it's staying on. We have a nice tailwind. Passing through 31,000 feet. Cabin crew can begin our in-flight service. Just drinks and snacks only. It's a very short flight today. There's not much to this plane at all. There really isn't. It's kind of, I'll be honest, after flying the 737, it's kind of blah. Like, you know, this is where your flight tablet would be. That's your flight stick. Instead of a regular yoke, you have this little side stick here. But they're all the Airbuses are standardized now. They're all the same. Hello, Joseph. How are you? So there's not much to this. Now, I've not flown the version 2 yet because there's just not much that excites me about the Airbus aircraft. You know, they're all, pretty much everything is the same no matter which one you made. You know, the A380, obviously you have 4 throttles instead of 2. But they're all very similar. The Boeings are very different, you know. But the good thing is that if you're a pilot in the A320, if you want to fly the A350, the flight deck is all pretty much the same, so it's very easy for you to get to grips with it, right? But yeah, there's not much to this. Let's see what Kev's at. Alright, he's still flying. I think he finally got a handle on things. Thank you for the follow, JP. Appreciate that. Sorry, I just noticed that you did a follow half an hour ago. Appreciate that. Thank you. Welcome to the Uncle B Sim channel. I'm Will's pilot lead singer. Driver of the A320 today. Uncle B. You know who I am. No, you don't. You really don't. Alright, there we are. We're at a cruising altitude, going Mach 0.79. We are operating within the limits of the aircraft and the airframe. We're operating safely, surprisingly, much to the dismay of some folks. Let's see. There's Kev over there. Before we know it, we'll begin our descent into Minsk. And then we're going to just kick you off the plane and we're going to leave. I haven't even looked at what the dailies are for today. Let's take a look at what the daily shenanigans are over on FS Hub. Oh, Peru. Do I have the Peruvian flight already? I don't know if I do. Let's go take a look. See, I think I do. I think I've already been there once. Yep, already been to Peru. What else we got? What's the medium flight? It is San Diego to San Francisco. Ooh. Do you know your way to San Francisco? Okay, we gotta do the flight San Diego to San Francisco. Come on. Nice approach over the bay, counter bridges. We got the Dumbarton Bridge down by Palo Alto, and then we cross over San Mateo Bridge. San Francisco should be in sight. The airport, I should say. Good regional flight. What do you think, Kev? The short in Peru or the medium San Diego to San Francisco? Yeah, that's okay. That's quite all right. Medium. All right, that's what I'm talking about. The Cali one. Yep, that's the one. Are all brakes on? I got my brakes on. Does Kev have his brakes on? I've already. So it's. Your auto brake system's right here. I think medium's usually the preferred brake system. The plane will slow itself down. Also make sure your speed brakes are armed. The speed brakes will deploy automatically once you set down. All right, where are we at in the flight plan now? Okay. So this is the part where we start thinking about, or we're looking at Musin, remember? This is when we're going to start our descent. Nice tailwind pushing us along, kind of. All right, 55 nautical miles to our next waypoint. Speed. Oh, how do you, the speed brakes? Okay, so right here, this it's say ground spoilers armed. So you just push forward on this. If you go back one, oops, it'll say 0%. That means you can manually deploy the speed brakes. If you push forward, it should say armed. Okay. That'll help you slow the plane down once you're on the ground. I did the opposite thing also. No, you don't want to deploy your speed brakes. Just push forward and arm. You just want it, if you can just kind of like, if they're, see, that means you can deploy them manually, but they're at 0%. They're still retracted, but you just want to go forward and arm. That's all. Now you can use, normally if you've ever flown, you see as you're starting to descend, the speed brakes will automatically kind of pop up and help slow the plane down as you're descending. But they'll kind of like pop up a little bit, and it's like an automated thing, Ooh, 737, 700. I'm on it. I am on it. Plane just made a turn. Oh, plane just made a turn to jump. Okay, fair enough. Plane. That's fine. Oh, Southwest. Oh yeah. I'll do the 737 today. Finally get it. San Diego to San Francisco. I knew what you meant. I had to think about it at first, but I figured it out. Ooh, 2 jetliners today. Man, how did I get so lucky? Economy class. Oh yeah, that's gonna be fantastic. Southwest Airlines flight number 744. thinking you're gonna probably fly the Vision Jet or something like that. So. Oh, we don't do cheap viewers. We like the expensive kind. You're gonna take the time. Come on. Okay. Yeah, you're gonna have to stop a lot of times for fuel, I think. It's gonna take you quite a while to get there. We prefer expensive viewers. Viewers with expensive taste. Like Taco Bell. McDonald's. Meat pies. Alright, let's have a look see where we are now. Oh, we already passed. We are on our way to, we just, okay. So, it's uphill. It's uphill only reason. Okay, so we are 57 nautical miles from our descent point. So we're gonna wait till how close? 15 nautical miles from our descent point. And we're gonna start. We're gonna drop about 3,000 feet initially, and then we're gonna start getting down to our preferred altitude of 12,000 feet. Okay. So this is why flying in the flight deck is important, because we need to know, we need to look at our distances so we can start preparing ourselves for what's getting ready to happen. We got a little bit to go. Made it back in time. You haven't missed anything. So here's what we've covered so far. Our descent point is about 15 miles, nautical miles from this part right here, Mick. I didn't know you was out, so we kind of covered this at the very beginning. So there's not a top of descent if we zoom out, right? We don't see a marker about here or between here and here to say top of descent. So I'll kind of go over it again, or you could watch the video, you know, when you have time. Using the navigation log, it'll say roughly where your descent point is, at least for this particular plane. But you can kind of like, okay, I want to start a little bit earlier, or I'm going to wait till I'm about this far out from this point to start my initial descent into our, to get to our standard arrival, our standard terminal arrival route, the star. Okay, that's what we're getting ourselves set up for. Our star is at Ruhal. Okay. So I'll cover all that, and I'll cover when we start slowing down. Good thing you made it back. So this will make it easier. Get the notepad out, Mick. Kev is over yonder. But I kind of went over everything at the very beginning. And this isn't going to take, we're almost there anyway, so I can show you, if we use like the flight from Heathrow up to Edinburgh, where to find that information. Okay. Sticky note. Okay, so we have 24, so we're almost there. We're getting there to be in our initial descent into Minsk. Kev's over there. He was struggling earlier on. He almost crashed. Well, that's interesting. They have, look at that. They have it in acrylic and, no, I didn't even notice that before. I wonder if that's how it is in real life. Makes it easy to identify who they are, I guess. Alright, let's have a look, see here. Alright, 18 nautical miles, so we're almost there. Go ahead and get the ATC thingy open. Alright, we're there. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and request, we're just going to do an initial 3,000
Moscow
feet.
Center Airflow 237. Request flight level 330.
Airflow 237 descend and maintain flight level 330.
Descend and maintain flight level 330 Aeroflot 237.
Plus it had it in negative 1,500. Huh? Oh, for the climb, you mean. Okay.
Airflow 237 contact Minsk Center on
Yeah, okay.
119.125. Good day.
Going to 119.125 Aeroflot 237. Minsk Center Aeroflot 237 is at flight level 340, descending flight level 330.
Airflow 237 Minsk Center radar contact. Continue to Mosin.
Okay. So let's go down to 23,000
Minsk Center
feet if we
Aeroflot
can.
237. Request flight level 230.
Airflow 237 descend and maintain flight level 230.
Descend and maintain flight level 230 Aeroflot 237.
There we go. Going to 2,800 feet. Or you mean flight level 280? I think you mean 28,000 feet. That's way early to descend to 2,800 feet. 15 nautical miles from Mazen was. I'll show you. I'll kind of go over it again there, real quick after we land, Mick. I'll show you how I came up with that distance. The problem is there's information in that should be in this flight plan on this screen that we don't get generally, and so you kind of have to figure it out yourself. That's the one thing that, you know, of course we didn't know any better when we first started in the sim, right? We didn't know that there's information that we need that it doesn't give you that information, you know. So you have to kind of like do the math yourself and go like, it's not like hard math. You just kind of, you're rounding up the numbers or going like, okay, I think a sensible point would be here from this point that we know exists in the flight plan. So we know Mawson exists, right? So it's a matter of looking at I'll show you where I looked, and then you can say, okay, I think at this point I can go ahead and start my initial descent, and then I can continue to descend from there as, you know, as time goes on. Okay. So it's already slowed down on its own. We're doing 245 knots, which is roughly where we're okay to live at for right now. Because generally, round about now, you want to get down to about either 270 or between 270 and 250 are acceptable, because we're above 10,000 feet, and that's the key. Anything above 10,000, you can still go pretty fast. It's below 10,000, that's when you want to be at 210 to, you know, and you kind of get yourself prepared for the, you know, the arrival portion. Okay. And then you can slow down from there. And I'll show you roughly where, we'll look at the whole flight plan from the beginning again once we land. But I'll show you the one I did for this, and then I'll show you the one like from Heathrow to Edinburgh, and how you can calculate that if you want to do that sort of flight. No, but I've heard if you want a really in-depth A320, the Phoenix one is supposed to be the best to have. But it's more in depth than this. You're gonna have a flight tablet. You know, you got to put all the information in so that the aircraft flies correctly. You know, but this will do if you want to fly a jetliner and you don't want to have to worry about everything. This will work. It's just that it doesn't give you, because you have two problems regarding this. ATC is not always going to give you the correct information for like your approach and all that. It won't give you the correct altitudes. It's not going to get. It's going to be a hot mess. Okay. And that's part of it. It's an ATC problem. But when you don't have good information built into the plane, you know, like it says, you know, like if we look at the flight plan real quick as we're descending, we're leveling off here at 23,000 feet. Pomzo, it says 12,000, be below 12,000. But here it says above 5,000 for MS-223, which is where, oops, that's not. So here's MS-223, it says 5,000 feet. and then you descend to 4, and then you get to 3. Okay. So why would you be above 5,000 when you're supposed to go to 4,000 at this point? It doesn't make any sense. It says 12,000 at Pomzo, but it says be below 12,000. You know, so this information is kind of like not always very. It's always a bit suspect. So we need to go ahead and descend further.
Minsk Center Aeroflot 237.
No.
Request flight level tree 10.
Aeroflot 237 climb
No,
and
I don't want
maintain
to
flight
climb.
level
I
tree
hit the wrong
10.
button.
Climb and maintain flight level tree 10 Aeroflot 237.
Decrease.
Minsk Center Aeroflot 237. Request flight level 210.
Aeroflot 237 descend and maintain flight level 210.
Descend and maintain flight level 210 Aeroflot 237. Minsk Center Aeroflot 237.
We'll go 16,000.
Request 16,000 feet.
Aeroflot 237 descend and maintain flight level 210. Expect 16,000 feet.
Descend and maintain flight level 210. Expect 16,000 feet. Aeroflot 237.
Aeroflot 237 descend and maintain 16,000 feet.
Okay.
Descend and maintain 16,000 feet. Aeroflot 237.
So our speed should still be at 243, 244-ish. We're okay. The plane's kind of already started to slow itself down. We'll be turning right soon. Okay. Oh, good, Kev. Do your thing. It's okay. The tricky part is this is that you have to manage, kind of have to manage things on your own just to get to the point where ATC will say, go to here, okay? And it's not always straightforward. It's part of it is flying this plane enough to kind of get the feel for what you should do at what time. So it's just one of those, if you fly it daily, things will become second nature, and you'll learn the quirks of the plane. You'll kind of learn, okay, I have to start making the decision at this point, and things like that. All right, let's go back here. Don't you also have to turn on? Yes, I will eventually. A little bit farther ahead, Kev. Yeah. Actually, once we reach this point, we're at the beginning of our standard arrival route. Standard terminal arrival route. We're almost there. So we need to go ahead and drop another 4,000 feet.
Minsk Center Aeroflot 237. Request 12,000 feet.
Aeroflot 237 descend and maintain 12,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 12,000 feet. Aeroflot 237.
So we're not quite at that point where we're going to go to 210 knots, but we're getting there. So we're set up for right now for our next waypoint at 12,000 feet. We can live right here until we get a little bit closer, and then we're going to drop another 7,000 feet to get to our 5,000 foot altitude. DMA route. Got me on that one. I'm not sure what that means. Oh, okay. No, it is not that. No. All right, almost there. Let's go ahead and drop 7,000 feet so we can get that going.
Minsk Center Aeroflot 237. Request 5,000 feet.
Aeroflot 237 descend and maintain 6,000 feet. Expect 5,000 feet.
We're just gonna go with that at 5.
Descend and maintain 6,000 feet. Expect 5,000 feet. Aeroflot 237.
There's more of that farmland, Kev. It has me doing everything north of you. I know, that's okay. That's perfectly fine. Just look at this stuff here and start just kind of go like, okay, I need to be at this point. 3,000 feet is our final approach altitude. I can tell you that much. But you're doing fine. It's okay. The tricky part about this is just making good decisions in a timely manner so that you're set up for final. Okay? Because the problem with this sim is it doesn't always get you where you need to be. So you have to kind of go like, I know I need to be here. Go ahead and do it. ATC is going to lose their minds, of course, but it's okay. You are going to put the plane on the ground safely. And in a way that if the systems don't work like they should, you are capable of landing it yourself. Alright, so we should be at 210 knots. It did not slow us down like it should have.
Aeroflot 237 descend and maintain 5,000 feet. Keep speed not above 220 knots.
So we're going to go ahead and go to 210.
Descend and maintain 5,000 feet. Keep speed not above 220 knots. Aeroflot 237.
Because we're below 10,000 feet now, remember? That's fine. That's okay. But you may have to, if you can't if you open up the ATC and it won't let you descend further, it will tell you when to descend further. That's when you know ATC is going to give you more directions at that point. All right, we can go ahead and drop our first notch of flaps.
Aeroflot 237, contact Minsk approach on 125.9er. Good day.
Going to 125.9er Aeroflot 237. Minsk approach Aeroflot 237 is passing 6,000 feet, descending 5,000 feet.
Aeroflot 237, Minsk approach altimeter 29.88 radar contact. Continue to MS 223.
Alright, so we're still 15 nautical miles out. We descended a little bit early to get to 5,000, but that's okay. We're set up for what's going to happen next, right? That's the key. If we wait for ATC to set us up, it never goes well. Because it's full of numptiness. Yeah, that's okay. You're doing fine, Kev. The key to it is that you're making good decisions about when you're going to descend. If you can. If not, it's okay. So I'm going to get down to 4,000 feet.
Minsk approach Aeroflot 237. Request 4,000 feet.
Aeroflot 237, descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
We're going to live at 4
Descend and
for
maintain
just a short
4,000
while.
feet Aeroflot 237.
And then we'll go ahead and go to 180 here
Aeroflot
shortly.
237, climb and maintain 5,000 feet.
No, we're going for 4.
Climb and maintain 5,000 feet Aeroflot 237.
You said I could go to 4. I'm going to 4. Panicking that cabin captain yelling, we're going to die. No. system.
Aeroflot 237 descend and maintain 4,000 feet.
Descend and maintain 4,000 feet. Aeroflot 237.
So the airport is to our left now. You can see part of our arrival into the airport right there. All right, let's go to 180. Now we may be slowing. I don't think we're slowing down early. We're probably, holy hell of a turn. But we're okay. You know, A, because we got Kev in front of us, who's probably going to line up for final before we do. Okay. And that's okay. We can slow down a little bit and give him the space he needs to get ready for landing. Get our second notch of flaps. Wasn't that big of a turn. We got landing lights on. We're just going to live right here for right now. We're doing fine. Kev's doing great. He doesn't always like to fly in the jetliners, but he gave it a go. We'll give him props for that. He's probably been cursing at me the entire time. I knew I shouldn't have flown this piece of junk. I don't know why I did it. Oh, Kev is not a big fan of the jetliners.
Aeroflot 237 contact Minsk Center on 119.125. Good day.
119.125 Aeroflot 237. Goodbye. Minsk Center Aeroflot 237 4,000 feet.
Aeroflot 237 Minsk Center altimeter 29.87 radar contact. Continue to MS-221.
Okay, so we can go. We can go to 3,000 if we want. We're going to go ahead and do that, so we're set up for success.
Minsk Center Aeroflot 237.
I like
Request
it. I like
3,000
being set
feet.
up for success.
Aeroflot 237 request denied.
What? I have to be at 3,000. You bastards. Well, you know what that means. What does that mean, everybody? We have to be ready to do what we have to do to land this frickin' thing. 3,000 feet is the final altitude. Check it out. Look at this. Look at what the chart says. Now we may have asked too early, but we are probably somewhere roundabouts here. We're on this part of the flight. So it may want us to stay at 4,000 until we get to here. But we know we have to be here. We have to be at 3,000 by the time we get here. Just saying. I don't know if that invite will work, JP. To be honest, nobody's used it in a while. It's not a very chatty Discord, but you're more than welcome to join. let's go to 160. Well, there's that turn that Kev likes. Kev's just, he's spilling his coffee all over himself. Another nacho flaps. Did you have a good day out, Mick? You guys go anywhere exciting? Did your credit card take a big hit today? He's probably buggered off, you know. Either that or he's taking a nap. He's watching somebody else. You know, Joseph, typical. Heck, he might even be eating a late lunch, who knows? There's probably footy on, that's the thing. Alright, let's see if it'll let us go to the 3,000 this time.
Minsk Center Aeroflot 237.
Went down to
Request
the front of
3,000
the pool
feet.
and had beers with Lynn. He goes back
Airflow
home.
237, request denied.
Alright, well, I don't care about it. We're going to go to 3,000. We're not going to wait till the last minute to descend to 3,000 feet. Ah. Fair enough.
2,500.
Alright, so our airport should be nearly in sight. Oh, I see a runway lights way in the distance there. I think that's our airport, right way down there.
Airflow 237, you are 800 feet below your assigned altitude.
Yeah,
Climb and
screw you,
maintain
buddy.
4,000 feet. Keep speed not
Alright,
above
let's put the
200,
ILS
knots altimeter
system on.
29.86.
Get our diamonds and all
Climb and
that
maintain
showing up.
4,000
Our
feet.
markers
Keep
on
speed
the
not above
right
200
side and the
knots.
bottom.
Aeroflot 237.
We're looking at our bottom diamond first to line up. Once it's there, we hit the localizer mode, the lock mode, and then once the other diamond that'll show up hits the middle, we hit the approach mode. No, I've not been to Russia before. No, I've got, so basically we're just collecting the Belarus flag. The closest I've been to, well, it was part of the Soviet Union was when I was in Kyrgyzstan. Yeah, you know, the ATC system in this just doesn't,
Airflow 237, contact Minsk approach
it doesn't really do
125.9.
well. It's not,
Good day.
it, especially with this plane, for whatever
125.9
reason, it's like
Aeroflot
you're
237.
struggling with
Goodbye.
commands that just don't make
Minsk
much
approach
sense.
Aeroflot 237
We're
is
not going to
passing
4,000.
3,000 feet, climbing
Nope.
4,000 feet.
Nope, nope.
Airfloat 237 Minsk approach altimeter 29.86 radar contact.
It may
Continue
tell
to
us to descend
MS-201.
here eventually to 3,000 feet, but we're already set up. We're going to stay right where we are. It's just that we may have passed a little early. Oh, does it? Way below. Alright, let's go ahead and slow to 140. We'll get that last bit of flaps down. And then we'll drop the landing.
Airfloat 237, you are 20 miles northwest.
Why would I climb to 13,000 feet? That's
13,000
insane.
feet. Expect ILS runway 13 right approach.
See,
via
this is the
Sage
kind of crap
transition.
I'm talking about. Like,
Cleared to Sage.
Climb and maintain 13,000 feet.
Why would I
Expect
go all
ILS
the way to
runway 13 right
13,000
approach
feet?
via
That
Sage
doesn't make any
transition. Cleared
sense.
stage airflow 237.
see, this is the kind of crap that doesn't they put in here that doesn't make any freaking sense. All right, last bit of flaps now. Drop the landing gear. Let's double check everything. We got speed brakes are armed. Auto brakes are on medium. Gear is down. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why it doesn't. I don't know if it's just something about this plane that the ATC just turns into jackasses or what it is. I don't know. Because I'm almost certain if I flew the same flight again in the 737,
Airfloat 237, please expedite your climb 13,000 feet.
I don't think I would. It's just something about this plane that just it ATC loses its mind. I don't know why. Because like I'm gonna ignore everybody and go down to 1,000 feet. Cruise over the Belarus countryside. See? Look at that. It would have had me climbing
Descend
an
and
additional
maintain
10,000 and
3,000
then
feet,
have to
airflow
drop right
237.
back down to 3. Ah. If they didn't want you to descend, why is it on the charts does it say, you know, at this point you should be much higher than you're gonna have to do it in a steep descent. I don't miss this part of flying this thing. Because the ATC just loses its freaking mind, it seems. Okay. The diamond below, let's just have a look here real quick. So you can see it's the diamond is in the middle. We're in the localizer mode. So we're going to descend a little bit further, or not descend, but when we get to, I think here, we can go ahead and hit the approach mode. Okay, that's the tricky part. Diamond in the middle, lock mode, LOC. Diamond in the middle, approach mode.
Airfloat 237, you are 13 miles northwest of Minsk 2. Contact
We have
Minsk
to, we're
Tower
going to
on
watch
118
this.
decimal tree when
That's
inbound on the approach.
It should be, once we pass
Tower on 118 decimal
the
3 airflow
waypoint that we're
237.
near right now,
Minsk Tower airflow 23712 miles northwest inbound ILS runway 13 right approach.
in theory,
Airfloat 237
the diamond
Minsk
should
Tower.
go ahead and
Altimeter
start moving.
29.88, wind 181 at 7. Cleared ILS runway 13 right approach.
Cleared ILS runway 13 right approach airflow 237.
And of course, the ad start never fails. Okay, diamond's moving. tractor beam to engage. It's almost there. Joseph and the McDonald's at the dodgy McDonald's. Okay, diamond's in the middle. Approach mode's on. Side slope captured. Whew. Much to the dismay of ATC, we are going to land this thing. Is Kev right behind us? Where's Kev at? Kev is way back yonder. Well, once we land, we'll pull off the runway. There is no high-speed exits at this airport for us to like just exit expeditiously and forthwith. So we may have to go all the way just about to the end, possibly, before we can turn off, clear the runway for Kev. Alrighty. Well, this is the first time I've flown this plane in
Aeroflot 2
years.
tree, 7 wind 181 at 7. Cleared to land runway 1 tree right.
Cleared to land runway 1 tree right, Aeroflot 2 tree 7.
So yeah, so now if the glides, if everything works like it should, and that's one of those tricky parts with this plane. Sometimes the ILS system does not work like it should. You'll see the green, it'll say glide slope, GS. That's green, it'll automatic, that means everything's locked in, and it will guide the plane on a 3-degree descent to the runway. And I'll show you what I mean by that. So yeah, there's the glide slope right there. That's what we're on right there. So now we have the you hear the sound of the ILS thing. That was the beacon thing.
500.
See, it says it seems like we have 4 white lights there on the PAPI on the right there. We may be a little bit high.
300. 200. 100. 60, 50, 40, 30, 20. Retard 5.
There we are. We didn't get a clap, but that means we had a firm landing, which is what we want. Yep, 324. Perfect. I'll take it.
Aeroflot 2 tree 7, turn next taxiway.
We're gonna get off the runway for Kev here.
Aeroflot 2 tree 7, turn next taxiway.
Alright, Kev's coming in now.
Goodbye.
Let the jet fighter land. Come on, Kev, get in here. He's a little bit lower than he probably should be. That's okay.
Ground Aeroflot 237 request taxi to the gate.
Aeroflot 237 taxi to Gate 9er via taxiway Alpha.
Taxiing to Gate 9er via taxiway Alpha Aeroflot 237.
Good luck, Kev. We're all counting on you. Kev doesn't look lined up for the runway, though. Kev looks way off the runway. But remember, there was a point where we had to turn a little bit, and then we lined up for the runway. That was kind of weird. He climbed and then it went back down. Well, he seems way out there. Taxi to my gate already. Let me go all the way. That wasn't too bad for not having flown this plane. Shoot some flare drop. For not having flown this plane in a very long time. Quite happy with that landing rate. Nice firm one, which is apparently what airline pilots like to go for, is a nice firm landing, so you know you're on the ground. Oh, look who it is! It's Joseph Adams. back from wherever he was. Everybody was saying hi to you, Joseph. And Uncle Console 93, thank you for the follow. Appreciate it. Sorry, I just was looking at the notifications. I just noticed that. Thank you. Appreciate the follow. I'm your host, pilot, lead singer, and driver of the airplane, Uncle B. We just landed in Minsk. We are waiting for our fellow pilot to get here. I think he's lined up on the runway now, but he's a little higher than he should be for the ILS approach. That a firm landing is, yeah. A firm landing is a good landing. Yep, exactly. Of course, we like it to be in the 2 something range, but we'll take it. It's not a hard, this plane isn't difficult. It's just ATC makes things difficult. The plane doesn't always give you like the best information. All right, I think he's on approach now. Here he comes. Come on, Kev, we're waiting on you. Yeah. The goulash is getting cold. There he comes. There he goes. There he goes. Nice, Kev. There you go. Good job. Start my cooking. How'd you do, Kev? Yeah, very good landing. How'd you do, Kev? Well, that wasn't me, Joseph. I already landed. That was Kev that just landed. I was trying to capture it for him. Yeah, that was very good. That looks quite good. 162, well done. Well done. That's what I'm talking about. Well done. Yeah, I know, huh? Watch, we're gonna end up with the same gates. I already landed, Joseph. Kev did much better than I did. That was excellent, Kevin. So how'd you think of your performance? Yep, see you, JB. Put your speed brakes down and all that. I'll get a picture there. There we go. So what do you think, Kev? Did you enjoy it? Was it better than you thought it would be? No, jet wing's connected. Oh, look at that. The Death Star is connected. Because he was supposed to go to the same parking spot. For whatever reason, it does that. It was nice for a change. Good. I'm glad to hear it. See, it wasn't that bad. We're gonna park next to it. There you go. I don't know why it does that sometimes. That it. I think so. Did he ask what it was? That's the jetway, Joseph. Yeah. I'm trying to like get to the chat to make sure I don't miss anything that's being. Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Kev. So, see, I don't remember how to, like... Okay, well, so yeah, I can get the, yeah, it was. I agree. Well, we're just gonna, oh, okay, so we're not gonna end things just here, just yet. So, let's go back to the beginning, how we got here, okay? No, actually, let me keep my controller here. Yeah, thanks, Kev. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad it worked out better than you probably expected. It's just flying this plane, you just got to get past certain things because you're not going to have the best information possible available to you. Well, let's look at what we did, okay? We departed from here. Now let's see if we get the same departure and all that. Okay. And we went to and there's only one runway here, which is the one that we landed on. No thrills there, yeah. 1-3 right, arrival, okay? So that's just point to point, right? Now, let's look at, if we look at, this is what we did according to little nav map. We took off, we went zigzagging through here. We didn't go direct, okay? Which is okay. But that was our flight plan. That's what it all looked like according to little nav map, right? All right, so how we built that? We go IFR low altitude airways, right? And we can look at, if we go back to the save flights, I'm going to pull up this. We're still going to go 2-4 left, and we're going to land 1-3 right because we don't have a 1-3 left in this sim. Okay, so this is what it looks like in sim brief. I'll wait for the thing to catch up here, or I might just have to refresh and then It should show the sim brief thing. I'm a bit behind, I think. The lag is. Oh, so it's not showing the sim brief. Okay, that's weird because I'm positive it's supposed to show. Okay, so either way, we're going to use the Litter 3 Hotel, LIDRH, so we're going to use 24 left. This is LIDR3H. This one right here is our departure. Oh, it changed on me. Oop. No, not 24 center, 24 left. Okay, so there's our departure route right here, right? And then for our arrival, we're doing the Ruha to Charlie for 13 right, ILS approach. Very straightforward, right? So when we want to look at our descent point, so this is the beginning of our star, Ruhal, right? That's what that that designates here, and then we can validate everything in here. So there's Ruhal, Pomzo. This is pretty much what we flew already, right? We did this. We came in on Ruhal, Pomzo here, and did this big kind of loop around back into the airport. Okay. So to find our descent point, we hit the nav log and we look. Okay, there's Kudre, Kudre. That's the beginning of our. We'll be at our cruise point here. Our descent point, there's Mawson, right? That's the first point that has something lower than 36,000 feet. So there, it says descent, but it doesn't show the point in the flight plan. Like if I show you the same flight plan on the 737, it's going to say T/D for top of descent. Okay, it may not be the exact distance from Mawson, but it may not even be at Mawson. It'll be something different, right? If I could show you, because it should pull up. I don't know why it's not. The sim brief thing. So anyway, so it says it's about 13 from the descent point to Mawson is 13 nautical miles, right? This point right here is 13 nautical miles. So I rounded up to 15. So when we were 15 nautical miles out from the descent, from where we should start descending, that's when I said, okay, I'm going to drop 3,000 feet initially. The causeway is connected. Oh, is that probably because I left? That's okay. Oh no, because you can ask it to be connected, I think. So that's where that 15. That's where that point of decision came from, Mick. So if we let's look at a flight. We'll use EGLL, right? London Heathrow. Let's say we're going to go to Edinburgh, right? So we pick a sensible, if you want. You don't always have to start at the gate. I like to because it gives you time to kind of prepare yourself for the flight. So we'll start at gate 511. And we're going to, I think Edinburgh is way up here. There we go. EGPH. Set that as our arrival. So we're going to runway 6 up in Edinburgh. So we're going to taxi over to 9 left for departure. And we're going to runway 6. So same thing. Low altitude airways. and then we're going to pick a sensible departure. Because sometimes, so this seems pretty sensible, right? The only difference may be that you're going to have to, from here to here, you may have to hand fly it, but we can look, right? If I go into sim brief, EGLL, AGPH, and I'll just put A320 in. Actually, we can just even use this. It's close enough. So we're going 9 left. I can change that, and 6 is fine. So it gave us the Ulti 1 kilo. If I don't know why you can't see my sim brief, but it gave us this departure. So that's correct. It automatically picked it for us. So the only thing is you may have to hand fly. Once you depart, you're going to have to follow this path to this point. So probably once you go here and you're heading towards this one is when you can hit your autopilot system to turn on. Okay. And then so you follow all the way up here, and we'll get our approach and all that in. So what did SimBrief give me? The NPI 1 Echo. So that's fine, and then we can go localizer 06. So that changes it. It's going to take us out from here into lining up. It's a non-precision approach. Okay, it's not. It doesn't have an ILS. It's just a localizer approach. So something like this, you're going to have to descend, and then you're going to have to hand fly it in yourself. It may work. It may not as a precision approach. It's kind of like one of those iffy things. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it doesn't. So if we look at the nav log, what's our descent point? So we're only going to get up to 20, we'll go 27,000 feet, right? So we'll just round it down to 27,000. So Ribble, it doesn't say descent, right? Not like the other one. So Ribble is your beginning of your descent point. So from here, you're going to start descending. You could drop like to 25,000 feet. And then you can go to 20,000 or 21,000. And you can keep going until you are set up for final. If we look at our airports, right? If we look at EGPH, Edinburgh, for runway 6, the final, which is the preferred runway because you got an 18 knot headwind right into that runway. So that kind of looks like what we have in the sim, right? That kind of this approach here. So we can use this as a kind of a guideline, right? But we have to be at 4,000 feet for our final approach. No, actually, later on we got to be at 1,600 feet. No, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. You'll capture the glide slope at 1,600 feet, roughly. So that may be, it could be as a precision approach. You can put that in and it may work. But anyway, so our descent point would be at Ribble. So you could use this as a guideline of some sort to say, okay, I should be at, at this point I should be starting to plan for descending. And you could just manage it and just do short, like you could just do a little bit at a time. Just remember, if you want to go to 9,000 feet, there is no descend, drop by 9,000 feet. It goes 8 and then 10. So if you want to do that, you go 7 and 2, and that gets your 9,000. Speed-wise, here you want to be at 210 knots, okay, because you're at 10,000 feet or below. and then the rest of the way you just start slowing down the rest of the way to line up for approach. However you do that is up to you, but you want to be at about 140ish for final in this plane. That's what I've always known. Like that's the, I think what they said is the standard or whatever, right? Is about that. So if you go a little bit faster, a little bit slower, it's up to you. Because everybody has to get a feel for the plane themselves and say, okay, I'm comfortable with this. I'm comfortable at 140. It seems to have worked for me. It may be slower for some folks. It may be a little bit faster. But it's up to you to kind of develop that feel for what works for you. What works for you may not work for me, and what works for me may not work for you. But I know roughly if you're in that 140 range, give or take, a little bit, step by step on the knots, because it's easy. I think what I found was that it's easy to slow down too early. Or you wait too long and then you're like, oh crap, I gotta slow down. And then it's almost like you're slowing down too late. And then you're like, oh, I gotta get ready to land, and I'm going way too fast, and I gotta drop flaps, I gotta drop, So if you think a little bit ahead and say, okay, I feel comfortable being here. I feel comfortable about 180. I still have time to slow down further, but I'm not like at 140 and I'm like 80 nautical miles out. It's kind of getting that feel for things. That's the key. The only drawback is if you don't. I love having the charts available, because then I can say, okay, if I know by here, because if we look at the chart, right? Or actually, let's look at the approach, the star. It was this one. We're coming in this way. So, supposed to be at 26,000 feet here. Exactly, Kev. In Rev, we're supposed to be at 20,000 feet. At EDSCO, we still can be at 250 knots. But by the time we get to what should be our next waypoint, Tartan, let's see if that is in fact. See, it doesn't have Tartan here, right? So this is a bit not according to what is available to us in the charts. In Rev, so I think let's look at the chart again. So we have here, but it goes from here to somewhere else. But we know at some point we need to be at 7,000 feet. And then we need to be, then we need to start slowing down. So anything, just remember, Mick, anything below 10,000 feet, slow to a minimum of 210 knots. You can't go wrong with that. And then you can adjust from there. Anything above 10,000 feet, you can go anywhere from 270 to 250 to 230. You have that range to work with. I think 250 is a good spot, because getting to 210 doesn't take a lot to do. And then you drop your first notch of flaps, and then it's just all should be pretty much smooth sailing from there. But it's developing that sort of habits and going like, okay, I know at this point I should be here. Just like, when we were coming in, it didn't want me to go to 3,000. I went, and then it told me to go to 13,000. Ignore that. Don't listen to that crap. Okay, I know they're gonna probably harp on you, but eventually they'll say, okay, go to here now. It may even tell you to drop further, because that altitude, it may be a little bit lower. I always think that about 3,000 feet, based on where the height of the runway is, the airport's located, 3,000 feet is a good area to start. And then you can go further, or, you can adjust it as needed. But having the chart kind of gives you an idea. Okay, I should be here. But if you think, okay, but it's knowing the altitude of the airport, and you could say, okay, if it's at 1,700 feet, I should be at about 4,000 to 5,000 feet for final. I think that's the. I don't remember where I read that at, but I think I just kind of, I might have just kind of come on my own to say, if this is where the airport is, if I come in at this altitude, I should be good to go for landing. But you can adjust it from there. So, but it also depends on the terrain, what kind of area you're landing in. Some of the areas like what Kev and I flew the other day, it was a short runway, grass, and I slid all the way off the runway and kept going into the trees. So, but just kind of think about what you're getting yourself prepared for, so that you can say, okay, I should be here, I should be going this fast. If I have to land it manually, if I don't have an ILS approach or whatever, I got this. And that's the key. You just develop that sort of feel and go like, yeah, I think we're okay. I can nose it down a little bit. That 3 degrees, keep the nose down about 3 degrees, you'll be fine. If you go more than that, you're going to go for a steep descent, and then it's just going to not end very well. So, I hope that makes sense. If you want, I can send you a. Well, it's kind of difficult because this doesn't even give you the correct route into Edinburgh, right? That's the crazy part. But if you can, I know sometimes money's tight, but if you can get a SimBrief or Davigraph account, it helps out immensely, because then if you want to fly the version 2, you can import the SimBrief, and it'll be just like what you would what I have here. It's just that you have to. It'll get you to a certain point, but then you have to put in the approach yourself. I don't know why you guys can't see this. I thought I had this put in, but apparently it's not wanting to show it. I don't know. So, but hopefully that kind of explains things. If you want to kind of see, I don't know, like I can go. When I fly with Kev, I put up my screen, but it won't show like the SimBrief stuff, unfortunately, when we fly later from San Diego to California. But if you need other information, Vic, just let me know, and I'll shoot a screenshot to you to show you kind of what I'm talking about, because you can't see it for whatever reason, SimBrief's not. I don't know why, but it's not showing up on my feed. But anyway, just put it. Yep, it is. And once you do it enough times, you kind of get the feel for it, and then it's just like, okay, I know what to do here. I should be here at this point. Even if the ATC doesn't tell you, go with what your gut instinct tells you. It may be that you overthought it, and where you were was just fine. But if you were like, I feel like I should be here, or I looked at the charts, the information I got says I should be here instead, go with what you know works, and then adjust from there. I guess that's the best way to put it. So we might as well let the ads play out, and then we'll go. So, but no, it's very. I don't know why. I think before I could show you guys the SimBrief stuff, but for whatever reason today it's not allowing me to show you SimBrief. But if I show you like the one for Minsk, the route was a bit different. It might have been almost the same one that Kev followed to get to the airport, but he was way farther north than I was. So I don't know which one is the more, just routed him differently. Or he picked a different route. I don't know. Whichever one happened. I couldn't see his screen, so I don't know what happened. So it may have generated one for him based on where he started at on the runway. So I'm going to go ahead, while we're waiting for the ads to play, I'm going to go ahead and pick my 737-700. Southwest Airlines. Should be a bunch of Southwest. There we go. What was it? The 48 or 644 or something like that. Seven four four. So, so yeah, it's just getting a grips to it. Well, no, I won't. It just takes practice. But if you can, I think you probably would get. I don't even. You know what? Let's look at the A320 V2 just out of curiosity, because I've not looked in this aircraft at all. So let's just go to, let's say we're going from Heathrow. We'll just go to the gate real quick. I'm curious to see what the inside of this plane looks like. Well, sounds like the mail's already getting delivered. So this is where the benefit of a SimBrief account would come into play, is if you can use it for importing your flight plan into the plane. Yeah, so there's the AnyBill's EFB. That's their tablet. The OFP, that's your flight plan. You could download it from SimBrief, and then it would plug in. I don't know if it automatically transfers over into the little flight computer here. I'm not sure, but so this is what this side, this is what their interior looks like. It's not much different than what we already have in the stock A320. You know, it's just the textures are probably a little bit cleaner, and all that. We can move the armrests out the way. So all that's. Oh, there's a. Oh, look at that. Oh, for your food. You got a little table there. I like it. Oh, look at that. You got footrests. Man, this is fancy. So it's no different. It's just that you have the ability to create a SimBrief flight plan and then import that into here, and then it should give you kind of like the calculations and all that. But yeah, it's pretty much the same thing. Nothing's different. Nothing's added, nothing's taken away. It's all pretty much like it would be from the stock A320. So if you can fly this one, I know they don't have a lot of liveries. I think you can get some from Four Simmers. I think they make some really fantastic liveries. So if you want something a little bit more realistic, you don't want to fly Spirit. But you know, fly, even if it's just like the ugly stock, you know, version. Try flying this. But if you can afford to get a SimBrief account, do it, because it just, I think it's a little bit more. Well, it's more in depth, right? Like when I make the flight, when I do the stuff for the flight later today with Kev, I'm going to have to get into the sim probably about 10 or so minutes before he's ready to start his stream, so I can get the aircraft started up. I can get the sim, you know, the flight plan loaded up and everything done, so that way when he spawns in and he's ready to go, I'm ready to go also. It just takes a little bit more time. It's a little bit more in depth because there's things that you got to do to get the plane ready to go. But otherwise, it should be pretty much straightforward as far as this goes. I don't know. Well, you know what? Let's have a look, because I'm kind of curious, and then we'll get ready to wrap things up. I don't know if you can just use the actually, you know what you could do? You can create a free SimBrief account, and you can make a flight plan. It's just that the AIRAC, what they call the AIRAC data, right? Every so often it gets updated. You won't have the latest AIRAC data available to you, but you can create a flight plan in SimBrief. So let's just see if I wanted to do. GPH Edinburgh. Can we make it without the SimBrief? Coming in on runway 6, arrival. If we do the... So it'll still give you that same sort of... So you can still use this. Let's see if we can get the plane started up enough to will this flight plan show up? I'm curious now. Because if so, you might be able to use this in the interim, and I think you'll get better. I think you'll get more out of it than you will with the stock A320. I think. I could be wrong, but I think you can. Let's see if it works. Okay. Let's go to ground and see if we can get the. Oh, okay. Interesting. Okay. Well, all right. Let's get our fuel pumps on. We're gonna at least try to get the. I think you could use the automatic. Thank you for the biddies. Appreciate that. Automatic checklist should get the plane started up. Well, wow, this is. Okay, APU's coming on. Wow, this is a little bit more in depth. Is the APU on? Is it even coming on? I think so. So it doesn't look like it transferred over the. Oh, hold on. We have something in there. That's just a straight line. It doesn't. No, I don't think you can create. Okay, see ya, Kev. Um. Wow, this is way more in depth than the. Hmm. Okay, so yeah, you're gonna need to have a sim brief. It's not gonna take the one that we created. Um, but you can sign up for yeah, you can sign up for the a free sim brief account. It's just that you're not gonna have up to date sort of stuff. Wow, yeah, look at that. I didn't realize it had all that kind of stuff to go through. So it's much more in depth than the stock A320. But it helps if you it's well, I for me at least it's a better it feels more rewarding when you're able to put all that stuff into play. You know, like putting your flight plan in and everything gets calculated correctly and all that. So it does I think it does it makes it feel probably a bit more realistic than just the you know the so yeah it's just I think it's much better if you can when you figure all that stuff out and it becomes kind of like second nature. I think it's much more rewarding. But yeah, this is much more in depth. I haven't even been in this one yet, so this is the first time I've even looked at this. So I didn't even know that it's more in depth than the other one. So this is probably more in lines along the 737. Having to do all the stuff, get things started up, get your, at least get one of the engines started, push back, and all that kind of stuff. So there's just more to learn, and there's plenty of videos out there, I'm sure, that will kind of cover the, when to do things and whatnot. That gives you a better idea of what to expect and when to expect it. So, but yeah. Oh, let me change aircraft again so I'm not struggling later on to get the right one ready to fly with Kev. Otherwise, I'll forget and then I'll be like, oh crap. Ooh, I kind of like this one. Yeah, the canyon blue. There we go. Ooh, even earlier. I'll go 2015. Yeah, there we go. Oh, no, I like that one because it's got the sharklet wings. Yeah. It's got the skimitar wing thingies. It just looks, I think it looks faster. If it looks faster, it goes faster, right? So anyway, so yeah. Oh, let me do a shout out to Kev. Do a shout out to Mick. I'll be with Kev later today. It'll be about 1 o'clock my time, 2 o'clock East Coast. So it's like 8 o'clock UTC. Yeah. I'll be with Mick tomorrow for some farming. So if you want to kind of come in and hang out and watch us farm, cause chaos on the farm, cut down some trees and get into accidents on the farm, That's where I'll be tomorrow. I think about noon my time. So we're going to get started, 6 o'clock. Oh, so yeah, about 7 o'clock your time, right? Wait. 6, yeah, 7. Yeah. So 1900 tonight, UK time, I'll be with Kev. We're going to go San Diego to San Francisco. And then I'll be with Vic tomorrow farming. Farming Simulator 25. See you, Mel. Thank you. So yeah, let's wrap things up here, folks, because we've been going for a bit, and before I know it, the ads are going to be like, we want to run again, and I'm like, no, you've had enough airtime. So, so yeah, I will see you all next Saturday. We will be in the 737-800 going from Incheon to Macau. That might be a bit of a long one. Thank you, Joseph. So if you want to watch, you're more than welcome to. Be here if you can. If not, it's quite all right. You can watch the replay. The replay for this will be on Monday on the Tube of You. So I'll put that together later on, and we'll get that all set up for a Monday premiere on YouTube. So, Mick, if you have any other questions, of course, let me know. I'll be happy to answer them as best as I can, and we'll go from there. So do enjoy the rest of your Saturday morning, afternoon, evening, early Sunday already. Happy Easter for those who celebrate. Hope you have a good time with your family, friends, whichever you may do. Or if you're just going to eat a burger and chips by yourself, go for it. It is what it is. I have been and always shall be your host, pilot, lead singer, and driver of the airplane, Uncle B. Until next time, peace. Live long and prosper.